Coming up on today's show, we have the owner of the Oscar theatre company, Emily Gilhome, reviews of the Oscar-winning film Her, and a QUT short film directed by Chase Warland. Let Season 2 of Showreel begin.
Welcome to the first episode of Showreel for the year. I'm James Peters.
And I'm Saborn Colley. We have a great show lined up for today and a great year ahead of us. Today's host is theatre producer and academic Emily Gilhome. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you very much.
So how long have you been working in the industry for?
I would have been working in the industry since I was about 18, so 12 years. Just turned the old dirty 30. So yeah, it's been over a decade working in theatre.
So why did you decide to get into theatre production?
Look, from a young age I was always interested in theatre. So I grew up thinking I'd be an actress actually. I had the dreams of going to NIDA and I went and auditioned for them straight out of school, and they said to me I was a bit young. So I went and completed a business degree of all things, got a finance degree. But then just always had that passion for the arts. Come from a very creative family. My two elder sisters moved down south to find work. So I guess I first got into producing theatre as a way of creating a bit more of an industry here in Brisbane and hoping to keep a few more of our musical theatre performers here. Since that time with Oscar, and we've done quite a number of projects, and in recent years, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've actually taken the directing role as well. So personally for me, my career path's now taken that trajectory. So it's good with Oscar that I get to have this creative outlet, not only with producing shows, but now in terms of directing as well.
It's great. Sounds like you're not just limited to one role within your company.
Absolutely not. And I think these days you can't be. I think, you know, the arts is such a vibrant industry, and I think you can't just be a, jack of one trade. You truly have to try and be a jack of all trades. I mean, particularly even in terms of producing, these days, with the advent of things like social media and technology, you really have to keep up with that and keep your skills developing. Even film, like we do rehearsal videos these days. So I've acquired a whole set of skills that aren't just really aligned to one particular thing. So it's never dull, that's for sure.
How did you get to where you are now? I mean, what pathways did you take, and how would someone looking to achieve the same things as you get there?
I think it's a matter of just getting involved. Like I said, I studied finance at uni, and now I've ended up producing theatre, so they're kind of polar opposites. The business degree certainly stood me in good stead in terms of the business side of things. Producing, obviously you're dealing with venues, you're dealing with contracts for performers, and even managing a business. So we've got a show going up next week at the Powerhouse, so that's involved a whole heap of budget management and that kind of thing. But in terms of creatively getting your name out there, it is really just getting involved in projects. I mean, many of the performers, creatives, even tech crew that we use now are people that we've just picked up along the way that have similar visions and similar mindset in terms of just producing good quality theatre. So, and I think you learn the more people that you're involved with and the more projects you're involved with. You pick up so much, and you even the projects that don't go so well, you learn from.
Yes.
And then the next one is better. So I that would be my encouragement. I from a very young age was performing in theatre, and then just got involved with various projects and have now acquired a really solid team of people that are Oscar Theatre Company.
Absolutely, and on that, why don't you tell us a little bit about Oscar?
Sure. So Oscar, mainly we've been playing in musical theatre in Brisbane. For a long time, in Brisbane we had the really big musical theatre shows that come through QPAC. So, recently I had that Grease through, before that it was Wicked. So these mega $1 million musicals that come through. Prior to that, then there was this gap between the big musicals and then community theatre musicals that would happen in schools and community halls. And I became aware of this really independent underground scene almost. And a lot of shows that were happening in Sydney and Melbourne, this off-Broadway scene that weren't coming up to Brisbane. So Oscar was started as a way of introducing that kind of new genre of musical theatre to Brisbane. And since that time, we've been going for 6 or 7 years now. And that's kind of our shtick, is the indie music theatre for young people. Yeah.
That sounds funky. I mean, what inspired you to start your own theatre company?
A couple of things. I think the industry here at the time was non-existent in terms of the kind of shows we were doing. So first of all, I became aware of the projects that were out there, and I just wanted to get involved. So it was that, but it was also, as I said, I met these people, a collective of really talented people in Brisbane, that we just didn't quite have enough projects here to sustain them living and working here. So that's what inspired us to do it, and we're still around today, so we must be doing something right. And along the way, I think we've really hit quite a target audience, and they're very loyal supporters of ours. Yeah.
So do you have any upcoming shows?
We do. We're in production. That's why excuse my voice today, because we're in the second last week before production goes up next week at Powerhouse. So a production called Boy and Girl. Prior to this, we've been running Broadway musicals, so Spring Awakening, Next to Normal, Spelling Bee, and we've done them in professional venues. Boy and Girl is the first time a venue has come on board and kind of opened the doors for us to do essentially new work. So the Powerhouse has jumped on board to support us. We're doing Boy and Girl, which is a cabaret gender bender. So boys doing songs traditionally done by girls and vice versa. So we have a segment in there where it's boys doing Beyonce in the full stilettos and the heels. And it's a bit of fun, but just, yeah, that's what's taking up the time. So it goes into production next week.
Okay. Excellent. And with regards to Boy and Girl and the whole gender bender, this is a production that you've come up with yourself, or you've had a team of writers and others working with you?
Yeah, it was actually a concept we workshopped a couple of years ago at a venue called Light Space in the Valley. We had a cabaret series running there, and we had themed nights. So one of our themes was Boy and Girl. So we trialled this concept. It went off, audiences responded, it sold out, we brought it back. And there's a team of collaborators on that. So it's myself as the director, a guy called Daniel Venz, who's our choreographer, Dale Lingwood, music director, and then the process as well with our cast. It's very collaborative in nature with our cast, so they all help to get the product up and running. But it's using existing work that people know. So it's, you know, Beyonce and Bruno Mars, and there's music songs from Chicago and cabaret in there. But we're really taking the existing things that people will recognise and flipping them on their head and having a bit of fun with that.
Okay, well, we have to take a break, so we'll be back soon with more Showreel. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Showreel. We're chatting to Emily Gilhome from the Oscar Theatre Company. Emily, tell us about a day in the life of a producer, or a day in the life of yourself at the moment.
A day and a night and a 4 a.m. morning. It's kind of insane at the moment. I mean, particularly this week, because not only do I do the Oscar stuff, I also work at QUT. So I have a couple of things happening all at once. So trying to manage that time management process is crazy. I probably can't really delineate a day because it changes so often depending on project to project. But generally speaking, I'll be on the phone a lot, organising, talking to cast, talking to venue, and then obviously teaching at uni as well. So it's a lot of communication. So yeah, it's just go, go, go. It's very exciting though. I make it sound like it's terrible. I love it. It's very exciting, but you do have to definitely be passionate about it because yeah, it's quite demanding, and obviously you are the front face for so many people. So often they're all leaning on you, and you've got to just have that drive to keep going.
So with Oscar, what are like your actual main responsibilities?
Main responsibilities is managing the entire production process. So for a process like Boy and Girl, You go from concept phase through to then you have to hold auditions once you've decided creatively what it is that you're looking for. So you have a panel, you run that process, you acquire your artists, and then from that point in, it's developing, getting together your tech crew and your creative crew, setting venue for rehearsal, going through the rehearsal process, all the while behind the scenes with your producer hat on, you're liaising with the venue and liaising with your marketing team and getting posters and flyers done up and getting it actually now to this point we're in final rehearsal and we're getting it now into the theatre next week. So, yeah. There's a lot happening, but luckily, like I said earlier, you acquire a team, and we have a solid team of people now. It used to kind of just be me as a lone soldier, but I learned very quickly that it's very important to acquire a solid team of people that can assist. So we've got, a dedicated marketing team this time, and obviously with the creative team, I'm collaborating with a whole lot of people. So that's also very fulfilling, being able to work with other people towards an end goal.
I mean, moving on from that large list of responsibilities you have, what skills would you say are necessary for someone within your profession or someone looking to get into your profession?
First of all, not so much a skill, but a necessity is to have the passion for it. You absolutely have to follow through on something that you love doing. Otherwise, you just won't survive the industry. And also, a large part of the reason you do shows is because you want to give a certain message or you're very passionate about a particular thing. In terms of skills, I think communication is key. I think you need to know your industry and be confident enough in your product and be able to communicate with all types of people. I'm talking to people from QPAC, board through to creatives and that kind of thing. So the ability to communicate is really big, and also time management or organisation, because you are living such a varied life. The ability to keep on top of that is really important.
Thank you so much for your insight, Emily. Before we move on, I've got 2 more questions for you. Who is your favourite actor and what is your favourite film?
I hate this question, it's too hard, but one film I did love was from a few years back, I Am Sam with Sean Penn. I think it was a beautiful film, and I love the Beatles, and the whole soundtrack is their stuff, so I love that film.
Excellent. I'm quite a big fan of that film as well. It's definitely one of my favourites. But another great film is 2013's Her, written and directed by Spike Jonze. It stars Joaquin Phoenix as Theodore Twombly, a man who falls in love with Samantha, an artificially intelligent virtual assistant. Voiced by Scarlett Johansson. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Mr. Theodore Twombly, welcome to the world's first artificially intelligent operating system. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Are you social or antisocial?
I guess I haven't been social in a while.
How would you describe your relationship with your mother? Thank you. Please wait as your operating system is initiated.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Samantha.
The recent movie release that every internet addict should be made to watch. Her is a comedy overlapping into the genres of drama, romance, and science fiction and fantasy. Joaquin Phoenix, as Theodore Twombly, is a lonely, withdrawn man who writes personal letters for other people. Theodore falls in love with his artificial operating system, Samantha, voiced by the endearing and surprisingly funny Scarlett Johansson. Interestingly, Jones began writing this film before Siri had even been invented by Apple. Technology enthusiasts can now delight in how plausible this plot may be for future generations. The film is scattered with many clever and comedic set-up scenes, with thought-provoking punchlines to boot. It is apparent that Sam is often comparing the short existences of the humans she's engaging with to her lack of physical form. Theodore's sad, bleached world is created beautifully by Jones's use of colour in the film, an example of Instagrammy filters applied purposefully. The film was nominated for 5 Oscars, winning Best Original Screenplay, and was also nominated for 3 Golden Globes, winning Best Screenplay again. The dynamic movie evokes emotions of heartwarming and loneliness, romance and wistfulness, all artificially encouraged by the accurately timed musical score. The film appeals to the internet addict in all of us and how we use technology to escape from our lives. I give this film 4 out of 5 iStars for its scarily relevant portrayal of the death of love in the modern world. Have you seen Her, James, Emily?
Yes, I have. Loved it. Great film.
Yeah, I've also seen it. I watched it 2 or 3 times. It's definitely it's more of an experience, and I felt like the musical score that was running through it really made me feel for his character, and kind of made me feel a bit sad, but it was a good sad.
I love, and you forget that by the end of the film it finishes, and then you remember that you really only saw 2 characters, one of which was a voice for 80% of the film. Yeah, it was really stellar filmmaking.
Yes, for me, Scarlett Johansson as Samantha, she gave this character who didn't have a physical form, she really embodied it. You know, she made her sexy, she made her funny, she made you want to like her, and she is an artificial operating system.
Absolutely.
It's scary, but very, very fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Spike Jonze doing something that I haven't seen from him before was really interesting to see, you know, because he's associated with a lot of the Jackass crew doing all that sort of stuff. Well, we do have to take another break, but we'll have to take another break. We'll be back soon with the short film The Editors. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Showreel. Every episode, we'll show you a short film made by members of the local community to showcase the amazing talent we have in and around Brisbane.
This week's short film is from QUT. It's directed by Chase Warland and written by Warland and Jaden Pittman. Let's take a look.
What does editing mean to me? What kind of question is that? I suppose it's about discipline, patience, problem solving. You got to have both artistic integrity and a professional attitude. At the end of the day, it's a job, and I got to go for the paycheck. So I'm working as chief editor on this project funded by the university. A whole team of greenhorns fresh out of their degrees. It's a bit of a step down from my previous job at Magic Works, but yeah. No, I can't give you a tour. This is the last night we have. No one has time.
Yeah, I'll totally show you around. The name's Freddie Mapundai, remember it? I'm the assistant editor, but that's just a formality. I mean, really, I'm the brains behind the whole operation.
How's my hair? And this is my old uni. Where would I be without this place? Well, not really, I dropped out. But it just goes to show you don't need no fancy smancy degree to get to the top. Over there is where we stole that printer, and this is Clyde. Cruddy Clyde. What we used to call ya.
No.
It's just so great, all us uni buds working together again. So what are you?
Ready.
Yeah, I was just...
Back to work.
Now! Hey, didn't I tell you to upload the sequence?
Jesus, chill, mate. I'm exporting it now.
Exporting? Yeah. No, just upload the premium file and I'll integrate it with mine.
Premium? Kinda using Final Slash.
So we've had a major setback. We've been using the Adept suite to eliminate any need for exporting. But apparently some dumb didn't read the project brief.
Who actually reads those things? They're like a formality or something, you know? Besides, Final Slash is by far the superior program.
Final Slash. It's a piece of shit with codecs that can't consolidate effects, plugin support, and the piece of exporter.
So thanks to Lightning McQueen back there, I'm pretty swamped. Without the import integration feature, I'm going to have to re-render all of his work, so... I mean, I've got the framework down for most of it though, which is the hardest part, so hopefully I should be out of here pretty soon.
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm post sound. It's not an appreciated job, but I guess that makes it more important that I do it right. There really isn't much for me to do around here till everyone else is done, but I like to stick around for support. It'd be unprofessional for me to otherwise.
It's me and Sally. Kind of a thing. I mean, she likes to play games, but I always win.
Please, Freddie. I mean, Chris might get angry at me if he thinks I'm slacking off with you.
She wants the D.
If I said that you had a beautiful body...
Freddie, would you get back to work?
Guys, what's my computer? I'm going to the bathroom. Oh, my wallet.
You know, it's funny, I had some pretty big fears about not being able to get a job and having wasted essentially 3 years of my life. But I always thought to myself, hey, no matter what, at least you never have to go back to those computer labs ever again. So...
You can find the full film on our website. Do you have any experience with video editing, Emily?
Oh, only on iMovie for our rehearsal videos. No, short film is something I've always been interested in getting more into, but in terms of producing film, not at all. Not at all. I enjoyed that though, just from like the obvious hints and inspiration from, you know, those mockumentaries like The Office, particularly, and that style of. I do enjoy that kind of mockumentary style.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that made it look like The Office or something else like that was how when something serious was happening, they'd zoom in really quickly and then zoom back out. It's a really good effect. It makes it seem less scripted. Yeah. No, but I think they did really well. But not so much a problem in it, but some of the eyeline matches were a bit off. I think because sometimes it looked like they were looking someone that was like right next to the camera, and then sometimes they were looking over there. But if it's the same person, then you know it's hard to understand. But it is a personal pick.
No, it's funny, and obviously coming from different backgrounds. I mean, you watch things. It's like when I go to the theatre and the music director picks up how the orchestra sounds, whereas I'm not even watching for that stuff. So that's interesting because I watch from an acting perspective, and I probably would have had comments that that was sometimes it felt a bit scripted when in a mockumentary. You know, you'd like just that free flowing, and that's the moments that worked really well. Those laugh out loud moments when it just felt so real. Yeah. So it's interesting. We watch it from different perspectives.
I think the realism factor that they had, that everyone's computer screen in the background had something completely different on it. Like someone was playing games and then it had the errors and then the blue screen. It really adds like that extra depth. You don't see that much in short films these days, like especially ones made by students. But
cool.
What do you think? Like.
I enjoyed it. I was a bit lost at first when I first saw it. I struggled to understand the different terms with video editing and where it was going. But when I watched it the second time, I did find it quite humorous and funny once I wrapped my head around the different terms. I thought it was a bit interesting how the head of the project, who was very frustrated by some of the other workers, swapped a little with his accent. I wasn't quite sure where he was from.
Isn't that funny? Because it felt like, it was quite a lot of in-jokes. I'm sure film students would watch that and have a completely different experience than myself.
Exactly.
So, but then they did start to build those characters, which became a bit more of a hook for, I guess, us that use iMovie. Yes. I don't know any of those editing suites.
Yes.
Later on in the film, about 6 minutes through, there's a part where they're all crowding around talking about what are they going to do, and because it's supposed to be a mockumentary crew, you'd think they'd have two different camera crews because they're shooting from two different angles. But the way that it works is they would have filmed it twice with the same camera. They've done that, but they didn't make it look like a mockumentary. Like it made it look like it was acting. So it threw me off a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It's all devil is in the detail. You know, you've just got to be so particular about those things, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, that's about all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Emily.
Thank you. I've had a blast.
Make sure to check out our website, the Showreel podcast on iTunes, and our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages.
And please donate to our Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. Your support will help up-and-coming filmmakers, actors, and presenters continue to gain invaluable industry experience from community television.
Tune in at the same time next week for more Showreel. See you then.